Hey, if you're getting ready for your IB Business and Management exam, you have come to the right place. We are going to dive headfirst into Unit 1, Business Organization and Environment, and I mean really break down all the key concepts you absolutely need to nail. So let's get right into it.
So what's our game plan? First, we'll lay down the business fundamentals. Then we'll get into the entrepreneurial spirit, the people who actually make it all happen. After that, we'll explore the different types of organizations you can form, and we'll wrap up by looking at what guides them, their objectives, and of course, the huge topic of business ethics.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Business Fundamentals. We're really starting from square one here, looking at that entire journey from a spark of an idea all the way to a finished product in a customer's hands.
It sounds almost too simple, right? But to really get this unit, we have to start with this question. What is a business actually doing at its very core? Well, turns out it all comes down to a really simple three-step process.
Every single business, I don't care if it's a corner bakery or a massive tech company, begins with inputs. Just think of it like a recipe. You need your ingredients, the raw materials, the cash to get going, and of course, the people, the human effort, to bring it all together.
Okay, so once you have your ingredients, next up is the transformation. This is where the magic happens. This is the part where the business adds value. All those inputs are put through some kind of process. Building a car, coding an app, or just brewing a great cup of coffee to create something entirely new.
And that, of course, leads us to the outputs. This is the finished product, the final service that gets handed over to the customer. It's the whole reason the business exists, to satisfy a need or a want out there in the world. So remember, inputs, processes, outputs. That's the heartbeat of every business.
Now, to make that whole system work without falling apart, businesses usually organize themselves into 4 key departments, or functions, that have to work in sync. You've got human resources, which manages all the people, finance, which keeps an eye on the money, marketing, which drums up business, and operations, which actually makes the thing. They're like 4 legs of a table. You need them all to be strong. This is a really cool way to look at the entire business landscape. Everything starts in the primary sector, literally pulling raw materials out of the ground. Then the secondary sector takes those materials and manufactures something. The tertiary sector is all about providing services. And finally, you have the quaternary sector, which deals in pure information and knowledge. What's really interesting is that developed economies tend to move up this chain over time, away from just extraction and more towards knowledge.
So, we've covered the what of business. Now let's talk about the who. Who are these people with the vision and the drive to make all this happen? That brings us to the entrepreneurial spirit.
Okay, pay attention here, because this distinction is a classic exam question. What's the difference between an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur? Well, an entrepreneur starts the business. They take on all the personal financial risk, but they also get all the rewards. An intrapreneur, on the other hand, acts like an innovator, but they do it inside an existing company. They get to be creative and take risks, but the company absorbs any failures.
So what makes someone want to take that massive leap of faith and become an entrepreneur? Well, the motivations are all over the map. For a lot of people, it's about autonomy. Being your own boss. For others, it's the sheer personal challenge. Or hey, the security of knowing you can't be fired. Sometimes it's about turning a passion into a career, and of course, there's always the potential for a much bigger payday.
All right, so we've got the idea, and we've got the person. Now let's look at the legal blueprints they can use to build their company. And believe me, this choice affects everything, from how much risk you take on to how you raise money.
The first big split you need to know is between the private and public sectors. The private sector is made up of businesses owned by private individuals, and let's be honest, their main goal is usually to make a profit. The public sector, on the other hand, includes organizations owned and run by the government to provide essential public services. Think utilities, public transport, that kind of thing.
This table is absolutely crucial. I want you to look right at that middle column, liability. See where it says unlimited for sole trader and partnership? That is a huge deal. It means if the business goes under, creditors can come after your personal stuff, your house, your car, everything. But now look at private and public limited companies. Their liability is limited. The business is its own legal person, which protects the owner's personal wealth. That single difference is a total game changer, and it's why so many businesses are set up this way.
Okay, the business is built, it's running, but what's its purpose? What's its North Star? What guides its decisions beyond just the bottom line? This is where we get into the really important stuff, objectives and ethics.
First up, the vision statement.
The best way to think about this is as the company's ultimate dream. It's not about what they're doing tomorrow. It's the big, bold, almost impossible goal of what they want to become way down the road. It answers the question, if we could be anything, what would it be?
Now, the mission statement is way more grounded. It's about the here and now. It spells out the company's fundamental purpose, why do we exist, and the core values that guide its behavior. So if the vision is the destination, the mission is the compass and the map for how we're going to get there, day in and day out.
And that leads us to a concept that is more important today than ever before: corporate social responsibility, or CSR. This is the idea that a business isn't just responsible to its owners or shareholders. No way. It has a duty to consider its ethical and environmental impact on all its stakeholders. That means employees, customers, the local community, everyone.
And listen, CSR is not just some fluffy, nice-to-do thing anymore. In our globalized world, customers have endless choices, and they are increasingly choosing to spend their money with companies they believe in. At the same time, governments are cracking down on unethical behavior, and thanks to the internet, consumers and pressure groups are more powerful and aware than ever. You just can't get away with bad behavior anymore.
So, all of this leaves us with one final, pretty deep question to chew on. In a world that is so interconnected, where your reputation can be built or destroyed overnight, could a company's genuine commitment to ethics actually be its single most powerful competitive advantage? Something to think about.